of farmers, whether on the coast or the highlands or Solomons, who are still working on farming as a way of life, without much or any inputs of money. So those people are people who are going to be very receptive to any advice that we can give them, as we can see their farming systems change under those three big challenges: population pressure, monetization, and climate change. So things are changing, and there's increasing pressure on those traditional farming systems. And that's why we were having a little chat about that last time. Very good. Thank you. So now I would like to share a presentation about creation care, which should be entertaining for you. Okay, share sound. Stewardship of creation. Stewardship of creation. And if we look at John 15:16, sustainability is God's concern, and Jesus is concerned too. We can apply that in all that we do: growing the church, growing NGOs, growing enterprises, and also caring for creation. Would someone like to read out John 15:16, please? Was that behind him? Okay, you just read him, come.
I'm reading from the NIV version.
Thank you.
Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you, and ordained you, that ye should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it you.
Thank you very much, Happy. So from the beginning, Jesus obviously, this is probably in referring to the church, in referring to the body of Christ, he was looking at us to produce fruit that will last, to mobilize the people of God into a living, working, loving, ministering organism, being his body. And we can apply that just as much to the care of creation as we would do to the spiritual lives of the kingdom. So that's, to me, the exciting thing, that God already has sustainability on his agenda. And of course, if you look at Genesis 1 and 2 and so on, you have this beautiful picture of obviously something that is meant to last. He created it not for a moment, but to last forever. And he gave us a responsibility in Genesis 2:15 to look after the garden. So today we'll just quickly look at two areas: the care of creation as a biblical mandate, and some ways to mitigate greenhouse gases, which means cut down the emission of greenhouse gases, and also to adapt to the effects of climate change. So, hallelujah, this beautiful picture of creation that God gives us, and he saw all that he had made, and it was very good. It wasn't just good, it was very good. So a good, creative, loving God produces this extraordinary creation, and it really makes him happy. And what does he do? He delegates us to look after it. So care for creation is fundamental but it's a bit of a new agenda. Has anyone heard a message preached in your local churches about care of creation? Yes, no?
For me, no.
No. I think most of you will not have heard anything. But why not? Because it's one of the areas of mission, in fact, or one of the areas of ministry. So we've tended to be guilty in a way of lifting up the name of God while we destroy his works. Why did the churches and the missionaries before them not mention anything about caring for creation? Because it's a long history, but we've ended up with a sort of a very domination attitude, if I can think of it that way. If we the Western culture, the Western missionary culture from which the PNG Church has drawn a lot of its theology, has not, until very recently, has not been thinking about caring for creation as a mandate, as something that God set aside from Genesis 1 and 2. So the body of Christ has been late in accepting the relevance of creation care, which has been a problem. But anyway, we're starting to catch up now. Evangelical Christians tended to distrust the whole creation care agenda as being like New Age, sort of hippie, greeny environmentalists, which was not relevant to the main gospel message. That was history, and now things have changed quite a lot in the last 20, 30 years. So praise God, we can adopt a creation care message with a full assurance that it's biblically sound and foundational. And even worse, sometimes they have justified the kind of, clear cutting, logging, destroying, mining and all that sort of thing as a justified by Genesis 1:26 to 28, which talks of, well, let's look it up, shall we? Look up Genesis 1 verse 26 to 28. Anyone? Yeah, pass it back. Thank you, Rachel.
Then God said, "Let us make human."
Yeah.
Let us make humankind in our image, after our likeness, so they may rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, over the cattle and over all the earth, and over all the creatures that move on the earth. God created humankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. Verse 28, God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, and every creature that moves on the ground."
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, we could run a whole course, a whole term over that wonderful, amazing passage. What are some of the things that you pick out from that? Anything you would like to share? Thank you, Kip.
Yes, from the text, I pick out one point is God has given us the authority and responsibility to rule and to manage every fish in the seas, birds of the air. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Kip. That's really valuable. Someone else?
The other thing is, God blessed them, and He said to them to be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the creations.
Yeah. So dominion is another word for management, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Basically, he's saying, get on with the job of ruling well, because I've created it, so don't mess about with it. I've given this beautiful system for you to enjoy and to rule. So enjoy and manage. Basically, that's the message. It's not a mandate to destroy it. My gosh, that would not make sense, would it? It would not make sense for God, having created this beautiful system and placed us in charge of it. It would not make sense for us to be given any right to destroy it. But some people have justified the appalling damage that we've done to creation by quoting these verses, which is a classic example of misusing and abusing the Word of God. So here we are. Here are some of the beautiful ways that God has organized the creation, that the carbon, which is a very simple element and which is the basis of our entire organic system, it goes round and round and round. Let me see, what have I got here? What's this laser? Oh yeah, whoops. Better not put that in. So you can see that it just goes round and round and round to illustrate the cycles of carbon. Let's use this one. Yeah. Through the soils into the sea, dropping to the sediments, which eventually, over periods of time, get lifted up again through volcanic activity, through tectonic activity. As the plates of the earth move, the carbon gets recycled into the atmosphere and down again, absorbed by vegetation here. It's an amazing system and still working, although we have managed to disrupt it a little bit, which is a shame. Now, how do I turn this off again? Let me turn this off. Off. Oops, what have I done? Didn't mean to do that. Try again. Sorry, guys. Made a mistake there. Okay. So, this is also the water cycle, which you would probably be more familiar with, that from the earth, water evaporates as vapor, and it's also transpired from trees to end up in the clouds, where it falls down again as rain or snow and runs off into the lakes and sea again. This is all God's perfect creation. So theologically, God has made creation as a whole and placed humanity within creation. So we're part of creation. So God created this non-human creation, firstly, and then creates and owns. So as a creator, he owns the creation. He is the Lord of it. But he also gives us responsibility to look after the earth, Genesis 2:15, where God placed the man inside the earth to look after it. So the humans end up with this delegated responsibility, called to manage the creation, the non-human creation on God's behalf, and keep the balance. Keep the balance. Am clear? Any questions? So that in a little bit of a diagram is how we can look at the care of creation and creation as a whole. And really, the creation of God, the holistic kingdom, is affirmed. The material world is affirmed by the incarnation, by the arrival of Jesus as a human. It wasn't God just blasting down with messages straight from heaven. He came as a human being. That affirms creation, that affirms the material world. Jesus was so intimately connected with the agriculture, with the business of making a living of the people around him. He was thoroughly enmeshed in daily life and in sustaining agriculture. So in a way, Jesus affirms our role in caring for creation. So many of his parables are descriptions of this. But now we know that creation is struggling, creation is under a threat, and even Paul understood this. Creation groans, he says in Romans 8, as a woman in labor pains. But we like the idea because as a woman in labor is delivered of her baby, in the same way we will come into a glorious freedom of the children of God. So there's a promise of the restoration of creation and a certainty that God is as concerned with restoring creation as he was about creating it. So this is the message we need. God is intimately concerned. He needs us, you and me, as his team workers, as his builders, as his restorers. Our restoration job is for society and for creation. Tupela one time. There's no necessary division between society and the non-human creation. We're all working on this as a whole, as together. And of course, in the Melanesian worldview, the two do work together. You cannot possibly separate human society from the non-human creation. And this, of course, has been the tendency over the years to make that separation. But we must not. We must work absolutely at restoring, transforming the two together. It's God's work. He gives us the ability. He gives us the natural processes of creation and restoration that we need to bring into play, that his kingdom will come. So Christ comes not only to redeem humanity, but to liberate creation from bondage, which is brilliant, wonderful news. The redemption of God applies just as much to the creation as it does to our spiritual lives. Hallelujah. So if we can take that as a whole package, preach it, share on it, teach it, and act on it. The moment you do things like, preserving soil from erosion, for instance, that we were talking about last week, that is helping to restore creation. The moment we put cover crops or all those suggestions that I did last week, that is restoring creation. If we lead a movement within local communities which works to preserve their forests by keeping, for instance, foreign loggers out of our area, we are fulfilling the command of God. We're fulfilling the plan of God to restore creation. So as I said before, Christianity has ended up maybe picking up too much of the Greco-Roman philosophical foundations, which separated the spiritual and physical realms. But the core biblical message treats them as one. So the creation is our concern. Basic creation care theology that we can put into practice in our daily lives and in our ministries. Any questions, comments, challenges? I'm happy to dialogue with you on that one.
Yes, thank you, Roland. One question regarding the redemption work of Christ with creation. Can you explain more on like what bondage did Christ redeem it from creation? Like that's what I want to know.
What was the word? What?
Bondage. I mean, creation is under what bondage before Christ come and redeem it? If you leave humanity apart from it. Thank you.
Yeah, good point. I think the bondage of creation has ended up being from humans' misuse of it. That is my understanding. Maybe humans, maybe even the enemy of this world, Satan, has worked through humans, I would say, to be too acquisitive, because after all, the basis of all this is global capitalism, isn't it? The chief enemy of God in trying to, in spoiling, in destroying creation effectively is global capitalism, which has, raped the earth, which has destroyed the earth in so many different ways and places. So that would be my understanding of the bondage to which creation was subjected. Does that make sense for you?
Yes, and then what happens after the redemption of the creation now as we see in the world today?
Oh, well, what it says in Romans, let me look it up and see. Romans 8:28 or so. Yes, Romans 8 verse 21, in hope that the creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay and brought into the freedom and glory of the children of God. So that's the best verse that I would point out about, what is the nature of the redemption. It's a liberation of creation from its bondage. Now, it's not very specific, is it? But it's clear that the redemption of God, of humanity, includes a redemption of creation as well. So we are looking to a restoration of the original and perfect plan of creation. That's the best I can go into at this particular point. And I can send you some more some articles which will develop that a bit further. Anyone else? Thank you very much, David, for that. Anyone else want to say anything at this point?
To add on what David said, in line with that, according to Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, God has created mankind to have dominion. So to have dominion means to be managers over his creations. So when the management fails, then the creation was also corrupt. Like meaning when the manager was corrupt, he did not have
Good point.
yeah
Good
have,
point.
have
Good point.
good management over what he was looking after.
Yeah.
So Christ came that when he restored the manager, then the manager will in turn care for the creations. So the problem lies with the manager. Yep. So
As usual.
yeah. So God has to restore the managers, and when the manager is in right position, then when he will perform his duties diligently, and creations will be cared very well. Yep.
Good point. So what you're saying is we need to be redeemed as a society, as a community, so that then that redemption will flow on from our renewed hearts and our renewed minds, won't it, into the restoration of the creation. Yes, yes. Thank you very much, Api, for that extra insight. Bless you, guys. Anything else that people want to share? Sino?
I just have one little example for us here in CLTC regarding this. We have been given a little plot to plant our vegetables, and if we happen to go and bury tins and containers and plastics in the plots, and our time is up and we leave this place and we go, and the ones that are coming behind, the students that are coming behind and that will be occupying the house and using the garden, they will have a hard time. They will have a hard time working and removing those containers and tins. And how we use the allocated garden is very important, and that is where if we are not conscious, the point is that if we are not conscious about the future, and if we are not using the creation wisely, then it is a sin, and that is the place where we have to be redeemed. It is a sin that if we are thinking of ourselves and we are being selfish, and we are not conscious of the future that are coming behind, the ones that are coming behind. So we are living our lives at the expense of the future generation. So that is
Thank
a
you
sin.
so much.
And that is the area where Christ came to redeem us, humanity, and to liberate the creation from bondage.
Thank you so much, Sino. Thank you, everyone, for your remarks and comments. Really valuable. Bless you all. Yes, yes. Thank you for giving us those extra insights. So, well, how have we done it? Can we think now of some specific examples that we can write in? How have we destroyed this creation more specifically? Can you give us some examples? What about richer countries? How have the richer countries destroyed their creation? Each one of you pick one example.
For the rich countries, how they destroy the creation, they destroying it by development and banning of fuels. In the banning of fuels like factories, they ban all.
Okay. Burning. Oops. Let's make it better. Let's turn it into black. Black. Okay. Yes, fossil fuels that we dig up from the ground. What do you mean by development, Kip?
Yeah, for development, I mean the buildings.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Urbanization, industrialization, all that sort of thing, eh? Making big cities. Okay, pass the mic to someone else. To the back row, please. Pass it to the back row. Some more examples.
Yeah. I'm just trying to give an example of mining and petroleum. Sometimes the waste
Yes.
and then it pollutes the nice fish in the seas or swamp, and the trees are already burning off and drying, and this ground that is growing that is not really useful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, there's plenty of examples. Anyone else can think of any others?
Marine pollution.
Mining.
Marine.
Oh, marine pollution. Yes, absolutely. So much waste is flowing out into the seas from the land. Yes. Anything else that you can think of?
Nuclear activities.
Which? Nuclear?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. Okay, fantastic. What about, moving on, what about the lower income countries like Melanesia? What ways are we spoiling the creation here?
Cultivation of lands could be burning of bush or cutting down forests without reforestation.
Very good. Okay, what else? Are we spoiling things here? Any ideas?
Throwing of rubbish into the streams and rivers.
That's right. So a lot of pollution of our beautiful water courses and our water systems. Yes. Anything else?
In income countries like PNG, we destroy God's creation by burning bush, burning the bushes and the environment, which destroy all the biodiversity and the ecosystem.
Very true. Oh wow, you know the whole language. Yes, it destroys the biodiversity. Yeah, indeed. Okay, there's lots more. Of course, the type of mining that you would find, for instance, in Bougainville, Tableville, wrecks the rivers, poisoning river systems like the Fly and so on. Yes. Many ways. Overfishing, etc. So there's some horrible things that we do. It's good to name them rather than just say, yeah, there's generally a destruction of the environment. We have to name them so that we can be active and we can generate a movement and a consciousness and a preparedness to take action against these destroyers of the environment. We know that oftentimes it isn't easy. There are big corporate interests who have allied themselves with government, but with enough awareness, with enough advocacy, with enough education, local communities can stand up strong against these polluters and destroyers. Thank you. Thanks, Don, for taking a picture. Let me catch a screenshot that I can put in. Right, thank you. Okay, so as we know, pollution, yes, loss of diverse biodiversity, loss of all the different species that go to make up the complex web of God's creation. We can be short of water, which is especially not so much in PNG, of course, but in many other countries. They're running short of water because they misuse water, especially some places that irrigate fields in a very inefficient way, who are actually wasting billions and billions of liters of water. And of course, climate change, the big problem about climate change. I think I've got a video that I can show you. Climate change is the biggest threat, really, globally, to humanity.
Human activities, from pollution to overpopulation, are driving up the Earth's temperature and fundamentally changing the world around us. The main cause is a phenomenon known as the greenhouse effect. Gases in the atmosphere, such as water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and chlorofluorocarbons, let the sun's light in, but keep some of the heat from escaping, like the glass walls of a greenhouse. The more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, the more heat gets trapped, strengthening the greenhouse effect and increasing the Earth's temperature. Human activities, like the burning of fossil fuels, have increased the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere by more than a third since the Industrial Revolution. The rapid increase in greenhouse gases in the atmosphere has warmed the planet at an alarming rate. While Earth's climate has fluctuated in the past, atmospheric carbon dioxide hasn't reached today's levels in hundreds of thousands of years. Climate change has consequences for our oceans, our weather, our food sources, and our health. Ice sheets, such as Greenland and Antarctica, are melting. The extra water that was once held in glaciers causes sea levels to rise and spills out of the oceans, flooding coastal regions. Warmer temperatures also make weather more extreme. This means not only more intense major storms, floods, and heavy snowfall, but also longer and more frequent droughts. These changes in weather pose challenges. Growing crops becomes more difficult. The areas where plants and animals can live shift, and water supplies are diminished. In addition to creating new agricultural challenges, climate change can directly affect people's physical health. In urban areas, the warmer atmosphere creates an environment that traps and increases the amount of smog. This is because smog contains ozone particles, which increase rapidly at higher temperatures. Exposure to higher levels of smog can cause health problems such as asthma, heart disease, and lung cancer. While the rapid rate of climate change is caused by humans, humans are also the ones who can combat it. If we work to replace fossil fuels with renewable energy sources like solar and wind, which don't produce greenhouse gas emissions, we might still be able to prevent some of the worst effects of climate change. Human activities from pollution.
So, thank you very much. Did you blad him good, look him good? Okay, great. So the effects of changing climate, there we are. Rise in sea levels, unpredictable rainfall, droughts and floods, soil erosion. You look him granja lus pinislo plandiren hundown big time law all get the bare soils. That can be a real problem. When I was working in Africa, I saw huge gullies that had been lost, completely lost downstream, which made the farms no good. Completely bugger up in ground. Water scarcity. Water can be too much water at one point, floods, but then at the end, water is not preserved. Water is not stored. We need to work at maintaining and retaining water on the ground. Of course, reduced yields from farming leads to food insecurity, income loss. All these things are a present reality in all parts of the world, of course, different ways in different parts of the world. Crop failure. Social and economic consequences. The atmosphere makes, in Venus, the next planet to Earth, it's 96.5% carbon dioxide. It's much thicker than Earth, much thicker atmosphere than Earth. Mars is also CO2, much thinner than Earth, but Earth is mostly nitrogen and oxygen, but a little bit greenhouse gases. As they were saying on this thing, it was steady at 280 parts per million for many hundreds of years, but now it's pushed up past 400. It's probably nearer 415, 425 parts per million. The more greenhouse gases in there, the worse the greenhouse effect. This is what we can do to try and cut down the greenhouse gases and change. The problem is, of course, it means a change of a whole economy. So it's much, much harder for developed countries to do than for countries like PNG. Because here we're at an early stage, we can do much more in a sense by changing the capitalists' who want to exploit and extract things like mining, agriculture, fishing, even livestock is a problem case. Bull macaws are big emitters of greenhouse gases. So that was the explanation of the greenhouse effect, where the heat that's coming in from the sunlight, some of it is trapped again into the atmosphere, heating up the earth. Some of it goes out, some of it stays in. The more the greenhouse gases, the more we burn fossil fuels, the more we carry out things like deforestation and the wrong kind of agriculture, the more the greenhouse gases, the hotter the earth gets. This shows the level of greenhouse gases that are being emitted. You can see the main producers: China, the rest of Asia, the US, the European Union, which is France, Germany, and all those countries in Western Europe, and India, Russia, Africa, Japan, South America, Canada. So in the 1950s, what they're pointing out was the US and the European countries were by far the biggest emitters. Between 1950 and 1960 and 1980, China's annual emissions grew by nearly 18 times, which is incredible, really. And today, China, the US, and India are the main emitters. Big problems in terms of emissions of greenhouse gases, how to get them down again. You can see that little dip that we can see in 2020, that came about from the COVID pandemic. But even while the economic activity was so badly restricted, they soon recovered back from the dip to reach pre-pandemic levels in 2022. So it only caused a couple of years of reversals. See, this is how CO2 emissions have grown from almost nothing in the 1800s. Now at 2021, we're way up at about 38 billion tons every year from fossil fuels and industry. This does not include the changes of land use. So that's not, there's plenty of things that are not being counted in this graph. So in fact, the actual emissions of CO2 are even higher than what you see there, which is a real worry. So PNG has got to join the rest of the world in trying to do everything it can to combat this emission of greenhouse gases. It's really, really urgent. And it looks like we can expect by the end of the century at least 2.8 degrees centigrade global warming. So everywhere is going to be really badly affected, some places more than others. You can see for even in Australia, we're going to end up with in that little patch there in the west of Australia, we're going to end up with 4 degrees or more of global warming, and for the rest, we can very well expect 2.5 or 3 degrees centigrade global warming by the end of the century. Same in PNG largely, but in many ways in PNG probably be less affected than many. But in some places like in the north, yeah, there'll be enormous changes in temperatures. which will really affect everything and everyone, especially in terms of sea level rise. So it's a real emergency, really. It's a real emergency. Any questions up till now? This is the realities that we are facing as an Earth, and PNG can't say, well, the other countries are doing worse than we are and so on. Every country needs to play its part in fixing it. Any more questions? Thank you for your contributions up till now. Api?
Just one comment from me. From the graphs, I've seen that those big countries which are producing more carbon emissions are responsible for the climate change. So,
Yes, that's correct.
So those countries need to take an active roles in combating the climate change.
That's exactly right.
Yep, to save the world.
That's exactly right. The problem is that many of these big countries are being dominated by producers of fossil fuels, like the US, for instance. You probably know that we now have President Trump in the US, and his campaign, his presidential campaign, was largely financed by oil and gas producers, by the companies that are putting out the worst and the most fossil fuels. So it ends up being a political issue, what we call a geopolitical world politics issue. And now the US is becoming even less responsible than it was, and it's withdrawn from global agreements to limit fossil fuels. It's a real problem. And China, in its turn, is really a dictatorship of a communist party, which really encourages, actually in many ways, China is doing better than other places because China is putting in colossal amounts of renewable energy. It's building wind farm and installing solar panels. Millions every day are going in China. So ultimately, China is probably doing better to start limiting its fossil fuel production than all the others. India is doing less. It's putting more coal generating plants in. The US is not doing well, and Russia is not doing well at all. So as you say, Api, the biggest producers in many ways are the ones who are responsible. We have to learn to put pressure on them somehow. Very hard. Thank you. Any other comments from anyone?
Yes, one comment from me. Especially regarding, like, I read few vlogs on testing of nuclear bombs in the Pacific Ocean. What do you think about this? It might affect the Pacific countries in the future? Or?
Yeah. Well, the actual effect of those nuclear bombs on climate, is that what you're suggesting? It's not very high. It's not a very big effect relative to the other much broader, bigger things that we've been mentioning today. Obviously, it's still no good. It's still destroying and spoiling creation in terms of pollution, nuclear pollution, in terms of loss of biodiversity. But it's not of itself a major cause of climate change. Thank you, David. Any other questions, comments? Kip?
Yes. One question from me. What are some of the little ways, small ways that we can do to contribute by helping or solving this problem?
Yes. Good question, and we will look at it after the break.
Thank you.
Yeah, good. So that's a good point to say, okay, stand up for 2 minutes, and we will pick it up. So please don't take too long. Thank you. Okay, can we get everyone back in? Starting up again. David, do you want to sing out Timol, please? Oh, here they come. Time to start again. Thank you. Thank you for your attention. Can't hear you. Mino Arim. Still can't hear. Maybe the battery's
Hello?
run out. I don't. Yeah, no, that's good.
Yes. I said they go to the bathroom. It's a long way lick na.
I know.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
do what we can. There should be more student facilities close to Okay, thank you very much. So, picking up on Kip's question just before our break, what can we do, what can you do to care for creation? So let me share, and then people can share also some ideas that you have. So there's two basic ways that we can work. The first one is called mitigation, which means cutting down on the greenhouse gases we produce. And the second one is adaptation, which is managing with the current situation, trying to manage a new lifestyle, a new processes, new farming, and so on, that takes into account the increase globally. So there's both mitigation and adaptation. So first, if we look at mitigation, reducing the greenhouse emissions, because each of us contributes in some way or another to the emissions, to the greenhouse emissions. Number one, changes in farming and livestock systems. Changes in farming and livestock systems. So that means don't clear any more new land, don't cut down any more bush. We learn to farm more intensively the land that we have, manage it better, use it better. No permanent cropping, if possible. Give the land a rest in whatever way, planting legumes, planting cover crops, fallow periods, especially not monoculture. So if we can change the different crops on it, then we are not producing so much greenhouse gases. No burning of rubbish, whether it's dry grasses, weeds, or whether it's rubbish from plastic or paper or whatever. Try and minimize the use of materials like that, especially plastics. Plastics are a terrible problem because they pollute, and how do we get rid of them? They can hang around for a long, long time in the environment, or else they break down into what we call microplastics, which are tiny, tiny, tiny pieces of plastics that get into our food, get into our own air and water, so that each of us ends up, well, it's not nearly so bad in PNG, but in richer countries, the whole environment is terribly polluted with plastics. And of course, in the sea, everything ends up floating around for years and years and years. So we can really cut down on plastics. No bull macaw raising. Bull macaws are very inefficient users of resources. They use an enormous amount of land, an enormous amount of water, and they put out an enormous amount of methane, both from the fermentation within their stomachs and from pekpek or brukimwin. They are really big emitters of greenhouse gases. And I'm afraid that my own country, Australia, is one of the chief criminals in this area, because we've got huge cattle farms, which must be producing millions and millions of tons of CO2 every year. Pigs and chickens are much better in terms of use of protein, in terms of much lower greenhouse gases. Even better is fish. So if everyone started fish farms, that would be just fine. So encourage fish farming. Simple, low cost protein, very efficient production of protein. So fish farming, yes, please. So there's many, many different kinds of ways in which we ourselves can change the farming and livestock systems, which is going to be the biggest way that we can do it. Then we can also change other kinds of lifestyle that we have. As I said, avoid using plastics. Avoid using plastics. And where people are using plastics, try and push them to use different things to wrap their noodles or whatever they use. What is the biggest use of plastic at CLTC? What is the biggest use of plastic at CLTC? What do you think? Stuart, Rachel, we haven't heard much from you, or Don? What are some of the uses, big uses of plastic?
Sometimes, yes, we use plastics for putting rubbish inside and we go and throw them at the right place. That's what we do in CLTC. Sometimes we use
no,
them.
that's okay. But what kind of things, what kind of plastic do we use? For what?
I think are you talking about the shopping plastics or
Yeah, shopping bags.
shopping bags? Okay.
Yeah. Now, you know, we see full of the little plastic shopping bags in vans, yeah? That plastic takes hundreds of years to break down. And if you burn it, then it releases even more greenhouse gases, of course. So why not just get rid of the shopping bags? Why not just introduce paper instead, which is naturally renewable and biodegradable, as we say? It's politics again. You have powerful interest behind the shoppers and the shopping creations that use those little those little shopping bags. But let me just check with you. When you go to Tininga, they don't give you plastic bags. Is that correct? Am I right? Is that true? No got plastic long Tininga? Can't hear anything. Total silence. Have you got the mic on?
Yes.
True?
Yep.
Yep. So at least Tininga tries to get ahead of the scene by giving you recyclable, reusable, strong shopping bags there.
Yeah. Brown bag.
Yeah. Brown bags or those strong plastic bags, which you can use for years. Yeah, good. So Tininga are ahead of the game, but many other little Chinese shops are not. So that's a challenge. So that's definitely one thing we can do in our own lifestyle, is to try and avoid using plastics altogether. Use boxes, use cartons, use bags, whatever. Preserve your forest areas and wildlife. Really, really important. Manage your forest areas and wildlife, whether they're clan-owned, whether it's community or tribal management of these things. Set up a management plan. Get old Saveman, those students from UPNG, those experts where you got one talk where Save Pinis law. Make him plan, bring it in. The people who live on the coastal areas need to bring in plans to manage fish, to manage turtles, to manage corals, to manage invertebrate wildlife, or liglig, sinek, nabat in the water. All of that needs to be well managed. I won't go into details here. I don't know much of it, but there are ways to preserve wildlife. David, is your community set up a fisheries management area in Solomons? Because I know when I was working there, they had a really good project that was encouraging local communities to set up their own management area with their own plans on how to sustain the marine environment around their place. That can be one way to do it. Communities set up their own wildlife management plans, both in the bush, in the sea, in the community. You can do it. Communities can do it themselves, and the changes are far-reaching, and they take relatively little time, just a few years, like the Healthy Islands initiatives. That's another idea that is being promoted, and community health education, community health evangelism. There's quite a lot of programs that you can get on board to make big changes to your local environment by putting in place laws so that people don't take life into their own hands and go and bugger up him. Any other examples of what you can do? Please share now. Who would like to start off by bringing in any different ideas or things that they have done, things that you have done yourselves to reduce the pollution, reduce the fossil fuel or emissions, greenhouse gases emissions? What have you done? Thank you.
One little way that I can do is to help that is by planting the native trees back and other trees. Planting trees will be another possible solution.
Absolutely. And very good. So that means that you've got to grow seedlings, don't you? So every community, every family should be raising their own tree seedlings. And it doesn't cost anything. Pick the best trees, get the seed from them, raise the seed in little flat beds, and then plant them out into your poly bags. Or if you don't have poly bags, if you don't want to buy poly bags, you can make very good bags from banana leaves. You can make very good bags from banana leaves. And then the seedlings will grow, plant them out, look after them for 3 years until they're big enough to survive comfortably, and then praise God, you've got a tree that's growing. Well done. Thank you so much, Kip, for that idea. Really good. And I suspect that you probably learned some of it in the ecoforestry course. Good, good, good. Someone else, another idea.
We might go into sustainable farming practices
Like?
like intercropping,
Yes.
and other activities like hydroponics and aquaponics, like those farming systems.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes, if you've got the capital.
Yeah.
For sure. That's a very carbon efficient, very efficient form of farming from the point of view of energy and greenhouse gases and so on. And of course, in PNG, where it's warm, it's even more possible. You just need the capital to set it up. Okay. Some other ideas? Anyone? Rachel, Stewart? Any ideas? David, thank you.
Yes, instead of banning plastics, we can turn it into household decorations.
Yes, absolutely. You can turn it into a lot of other things too. You can compress it and use it for doormats, for all sorts of things. Yeah. So reuse, recycle, reduce, make sure that all your aluminium tins get recycled, because that's 100%. You see all the young kids down along the Bands Road are leaving their tins to get well flattened. So that can all be recycled. Recycle, recycle, recycle. Okay, very good. Replant trees. Yes. So all of our life and our lifestyles have to be searches for how to reduce the mess we make. Any other ideas from anyone? So just to make sure that things that pollute don't get into our ecosystem. The little bit of plastics that end up, okay, if you can't recycle them, look after them, bury them, squash them, make sure that they don't get into the ecosystem, because pollution is just as bad even if you're not burning it. Obviously keep all your forests, especially along your water courses, in your catchments. You know what the catchment is? Wanam now catchment? The catchment is the area that feeds the river. So if you go up to the top of the river, you'll see that there's many mountains and hills and things like that, which from where the water drains into the river. Now those areas should be kept as they are. No cutting, no burning. So if you preserve your catchment and there's big forest for many kilometers around the water source, then your water will flow clear the whole year, and there will be no pollution, no soil lost down the river. When we drove to Goroka last year, oh no, it wasn't last year, it was in February, we found one river that was just flowing orange. You probably know the one, Sino. And that must be some serious pollution or soil disturbance taking place. This is tambu, this is a crime. And the people need to be brought to justice instead of just accepting it. So all these things count. Every little thing can make a difference. In Australia, we have a system that recycles a lot of the household material that we use. So we have one rubbish bin for general waste, another rubbish bin for recycling, and still a third rubbish bin for green waste, what we call green waste, which is all the weeds and the stems of banana trees and the leaves. that we cut out of our gardens. So we try and do as much as we can. Thank you very much. So the second thing we can do is to adapt. Adaptation. So we've got to adapt our lives to the effects of the changing climate. Now, if your village is near the coast, you are going to have problems in the years to come. Which of you is near the coast and has already noticed the effects of climate change? Anyone? David, thank you. Big problem. You might even, in Fiji, they're starting to relocate several villages. I don't know how many, but there's a whole program to actually remove all the houses and churches and schools of a village further to a new safe place, which is going to be further inland and higher up. But even if you don't do it that intensively or on that scale, you could certainly think of relocating the vulnerable areas of your community in a way that will safeguard it from the effects of the rising sea levels. I have seen in Tandy's own community of Vuneroto in the Gazelle that what used to be a long way from the sea is now right next to it. I've seen it. I've seen the effects of sea level rise. It's happening already. So we have to adapt. So you can relocate further from the coast. You can certainly diversify the crops, which applies to everyone. Everyone is facing more intense rainfall, longer drought periods. It's not a steady rain as it used to be. So put in your safety bank. Grow cassava as a backup. Grow rice, which you can store for time hangare. So you don't have time hangare anymore. You have a reliable, consistent supply of food, whether it's cassava, whether it's rice, whether it's any form of crops that you can rely on. Maybe grow corn as a backup too, because corn is quick to grow. And find new varieties of the traditional plants that will be better tolerated, that tolerate drought and heat and frost and so on better than the traditional ones. So here we come back to managing the traditional system. Use agroforestry, use trees to restore fertility. So what many of those trees do is they pump up nutrients from the deepest parts of the soil and bring it up into their leaf systems, and then that falls on the ground, or even when you prune the trees to control them, then you just leave the leaves on the ground or you dig them in, and that can be a very useful, sustainable system. Manage your water resources, really important. Think about whether you can use dams, whether you can use tanks, whether you can use what we call bunds, which are earth structures to stop the water running away so fast. There are many ways in which we can harvest the rainwater, or at least stop it flowing down so fast. Because one of the real problems now is that the rain comes much more strongly than it used to. That's really one of the effects of climate change. And lastly, work together. Work together. Find ways to work as a cooperative or as a group to market crops, to restore the fertility, to find new varieties, to buy whatever you need, compost, manure, fertilizer, working together. Work together. It could be just your own clan, could be the whole village. You plagat save now. You people have skills that you've picked up. I know several of you are either doing that already or planning to bring people together into groups to face the issues that they have. It could be just that you're learning from each other's. Every community has people who are skilled in farming or in land management. The thing is to learn from them, to resource them as well. Any other ideas about adaptation that you'd like to share? Some of the things like agroforestry you can use in both ways, both adapting. Someone, Rachel, you want to say something? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. In my own province, we do plant bamboo trees
Oh, okay.
to protect soil erosion.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we
And of course it's,
yeah,
yeah?
we still maintain that there are, because of the roots of the bamboo is strong and that can hold the soil.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, and of course they provide a lot of useful building materials and other things that you can use as well. The only thing about bamboo I would say is they do hold the water back, but they also drink a lot.
Yeah.
So be sure that you don't plant too many or the place will be a bit dry. But thank you, Rachel, for that. That's true. It's a very good water holding measure. In fact, you know what I would like to do, but me no got strong or me no stop. Have you noticed down at the Wagi River, the land, we're gradually losing the land along there because it's being torn away by the water every year. Now, if we planted a really big line of bamboos and vetiver and trees and so on, we would be able to stop that permanently. So that's one thing I would suggest. But anyways, it's a big project. Yes. Water conservation, soil conservation, all really important, together with these suggestions that I've made. Thank you, Rachel. Any other stories from your place or your experience of how to adapt?
About the sea rise also in Isipik, we faced along the Sipik River.
Yes.
Yeah, it's affecting the villages along the river bend also. Yeah.
You mean
Ground Buruk loss side.
yeah, ground buruk, yeah, soil erosion.
Yeah.
Yup.
So
So
some people are
have
now
to
relocating to the mountains.
Oh, really? Because
Yeah.
it's so bad, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you could relocate, but you could also introduce a lot of work to conserve what you have already. Same sort of problem. Flooding, higher rainfall. Thank you. Any other stories from anyone else? Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for all your contributions and comments. They've been really, really valuable. And I've learned a lot today too. So sustainable farming and livestock. Here we go, the last thing. Promote faith gardens near the house. That's a really important move. Using compost or manure in this garden. Keep pigs, chickens, or ducks for nutrition. Ducks are great, the Muscovy ducks. Mulching, agroforestry, and conserving the soil with bamboos, logs, banana stems, or vetiver grass. So try and make that part of the farming system, a sustainable farming system. It will need more work. That's the only thing. It's more labor intensive, and you'll just have to, we will just have to, even here in Australia, work harder to ensure the sustainability, the environmental sustainability, the care of creation from a farming system. Okay, this is another video that's centered on Roviana Lagoon Solomons.
The Solomon Islands is a collection of nearly 1,000 islands in the South Pacific Ocean. Remote communities of the developing nation have been managing their own food and water resources for thousands of years. However, the impacts of the changing climate are affecting the natural adaptive capacity of the people and their environment.
In Roviana, like a lot of the Pacific, there's really a handful of key things that, in terms of climate change, are going to be affecting people in the coming decades.
Dr. Simon Albert from the University of Queensland helped identify climate challenges that the people and environment of Roviana are facing. His work was part of Australia's $12 million Pacific Adaptation Strategy Assistance Program.
The highest priority one is sea level rise, which is anticipated to be rising by at least 50 centimetres over the next century. The other ones involving the marine system are increasing water temperatures of the ocean and also acidification of the oceans, lowering the pH of the oceans. On top of that, there's also air temperature. Average and maximum air temperatures are likely to increase, as well as changing rainfall patterns, so increasing variability in rainfall. They're really the main climate change issues for Roviana and the Pacific more generally.
Roviana is a remote saltwater lagoon area in the western province of Solomon Islands. Its 17,000 people rely on its natural marine and land resources to survive.
In Roviana, like many areas in Melanesia, the land and the sea are customarily owned by the local people, so it's really critical that we work together in partnership with the local communities to try and ensure that that research and awareness that we're conducting is taken up by the people that matter, which are the local communities.
Over the past 60 years, local people have observed changes in their environment and society.
There is a big change from late 60 to 50 years ago. And then now, there is a very big change. Change from the land, from the sea, change from the tide, change from the fishing, change from the also humans.
Change the weather. It's like any time now, you know, but before we know that it's like a circle, you know.
Dena biskiti, meke na poti juo ka buara. Asasi, kaya mai mistera ta kuari.
Bato chopokerane si yani to sarte peso. Loho ke pikigami baloho ke mate uwaire. Me piki binara pule bake ngom bakami resi pikigami mate skainga kainga sloke namu di pakora pandi. Lewa rasasa pato chokamire.
Established community networks such as the Raviana Conservation Foundation and the Castom Garden Association are essential for raising awareness about adaptation measures.
One of the ways with some rural conservation feel we should do is to get the villagers, both the young people and the older people with the children, to participate in the different activities that climate change projects can do, like maybe building sea walls or looking at coral bleaching and planting coral and planting more trees in the gardens.
We did different tools we use to communicate to farmers. We use posters, we use power presentation, we do use farmer to farmer. They just go and talk with other farmers. Here in Custom Garden we have HF radio, and we also do provide few HF radio to farmers in remote areas that we communicate with them through HF radio, mobile phones.
The local people actually were involved in collecting the data. At the center, we explain what's this all about, why it relates to climate change, and why are we doing this. When you produce a map and explain to them that this is they are involved in that process, and then you produce the map at the end of the day, then something's click on their mind that, oh yeah, something's going to happen. So slowly they begin to change and they start to plan ahead.
So we've developed some quite simple tools using ground-based laser levels that local communities can use themselves to provide really accurate pictures of which areas of their village are more vulnerable to sea level rise, and that can help guide basic planning of where to build a school or a church or a hospital. By blending modern science with some quite simple, practical, locally applicable tools, we can help these communities answer some really fundamental questions.
Following on from the PASAP research, the Raviana community has developed a 5-year climate change resilience plan to guide the community, governments and international donors in strengthening the resilience of its people.
Both the marine resources and the land resources have to be used in a way where we can look after ourselves and have quality life, sustain our life.
Hey, thank you, Olgeta. I hope you enjoyed that video. It shows that things can be done. There's a lot we can do if we have the will, the bung one time, walk one time lik lik save. We can get support from all sorts of other institutions and organizations. I just want to commend to you the custom garden that they were talking about, the people who are running part of that program. The custom garden people have produced some really, really good booklets that I've uploaded to the to Cluster, and you can use those booklets as much as you want. Very good stuff. So these are some of the booklets there that I'm showing you here on screen. Tasol, I think that should be the last. Yep. So thank you, everyone. That was really good. I look forward to getting your assignments in the next couple of days. Wednesday, please last day, deadline. If you need an extra day or two, send me a personal message. I'm not giving any more general extensions. Otherwise, marks will be taken off. And I've got your exams ready Monday, next Monday. Okay? We'll get that next Monday, this time, 10:30 till 12:30, or as soon as you've finished it. Most people don't need the full 2 hours, but some, if it's no problem, you can take longer. It will be an open book exam, so you can bring your written notes or any printed notes that you have, but please, no laptops, no phones. Very good. You guys have really been very faithful in your attendance and your assignments, so I'm very encouraged. Any questions? If you have them now, I'm very ready to hear them. If you don't want to share them now, you can always send me a WhatsApp message or whatever you want to do.
Hello.
Yes, Api.
You say that the exam will be open book, so most of the notes are e-copy.
Yes.
Soft copy, so it would
I
be
know.
better if we use the laptops and phones.
But that means you can. I know your point. I know absolutely, Api, that it's a problem because all the notes are printed. Send me. I tell you what. Send me some requests if you need particular parts of notes or pages of notes, and we can get them printed. Not hundreds, but a few pages. I have no problem with trying to get them printed. How about that? Better than nothing. But
some topics that you think the exam questions are taken from, you can produce those handouts for us and print it.
Well. I'm not gonna let you know what the exam questions are, at least.